Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Nuremberg, and this is a new historical drama focusing on the Nuremberg trials, and specifically psychiatrist Dr. Douglas Kelly and his developing, studying, and interactions and connection with Hermann Göring, who was the second in command to the Third Reich in Nazi Germany. And this film is from writer-director James Vanderbilt and based off of the novel The Nazi and the Psychiatrist. And this captures this journey of Kelly coming in and being tasked with the mental health of the officers left of the Third Reich. And from the opening scene, we see Göring, surrendering himself, but still having that, arrogance and power about him as American soldiers are being asked to carry his luggage. And this film has that classic kind of old Hollywood kind of feel in terms of how they shot the film, and the cinematographer, Dariusz Wolski, who's done so many films with Steven Spielberg, here does a fantastic job, and there's some inspired camera movements as we're moving through the courtroom, through the prison, through these different spaces, and giving this engrossing kind of feel. And you also have composer Brian Tyler, who I think does a fine job of bringing some extra emotion to these scenes. Tonally, this film's kind of interesting, and Vanderbilt has written a lot of films and a lot of Sony Spider-Man kinds of films and stuff like that, which is so weird seeing him tackle a film like this. But totally, there's some weird moments where this film, when you first read Rami Malek's character, he's doing these magic tricks, hitting on this woman, they're setting up some kind of roguish kind of guy. And there's a lot of quips, there's some decent humor, a lot of use of editing to deliver humor where it's this can't possibly be the thing, edit, this thing happened. And really relying upon those types of beats of humor, which I think overall seemed a little weird at times in this film, which is tackling such serious subject matter. But not gonna lie, I did think some of those things were actually funny, so they did work on some level. This film's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and there's certainly elements, especially in the second act, that feel like it's lagging a bit, could have gotten to certain places quicker. But overall, this is a engaging and engrossing film, and I think Vanderbilt does a fine job of bringing it to life. And I think this film has some very lampshading kind of moments, and elements of the film that feel a little bit, this doesn't feel very grounded, which this story very much is, and it's playing with those kinds of elements in a way that it's trying to be a little bit more playful than I think that the subject matter really necessitates, but it's still an interesting and engaging film to watch. Story-wise, it's really centered on these complicated characters of Kelly and Göring, and this chess match that's happening as they're each trying to play each other. Kelly's journey throughout this film is going from, oh, I can't wait to do this, write a book about this, to really confronting the evils that happened during the Holocaust. And there's a moment in the courtroom where they watch videos, and it was rough. It was rough to watch. And if you've ever seen videos of the Holocaust, of concentration camps and stuff like that, it's it hits. It certainly hits. And having those elements incorporated into film felt important in terms of really just showing the disconnect from these German high command officers and just the atrocities that were going on in their country and neighboring countries that they had taken over. And I think this does a fine job of setting the stage, telling the story, and playing that beat by beat. There's some added elements. There's one particular character who, Sergeant Howie Triest, who played by Leo Woodall, who is such an important piece to this and adds the emotional core to the story and adds layers. There's some fun, quippy kinds of characters like John Slattery's Colonel Burton C. Andrus has a lot of funny moments. And like Richard E. Grant's Sir David Maxwell Fife, I think he has some fun moments as well, just being sassy. But the performances here, Russell Crowe's incredible as Hermann Göring. He just captures this larger-than-life personality and also this egotistical nature to him. And he is always playing games, and he's very convincing as this character. He has the physicality, and he sells the personality as well. I think Rami Malek does a really fine job with a character that, you know, isn't the most complex or deep, but very much is representing us. You have Michael Shannon, who gives a very stern performance as Justice Jackson. Like I mentioned before, Slattery and Grant have their moments, but it's Woodall who, there's one particular scene where we learn more about him that his performance is incredible and almost steals the whole entire film away from these very talented, very well-respected actors throughout this film. This film's well acted, well directed. It might be a little long in the tooth. It might lean a little too much into these, you know, quippy kinds of elements that kind of take away from the gravity of the situation. But overall, this is an effective and impactful historical drama that's worth your time. But those are my thoughts on Nuremberg. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland